Hey Celestine, how are you?
Good evening, Elisa. I'm very well. How are you?
I am doing great, and I'm very excited about this interview because we are going to talk to George Michael. And I just heard about what happened to him, and I'm just super excited about getting to talk to him, and excited that he wants to talk to us. So why don't you tell us how he's been reaching out to you?
Well, I was online and I heard the news that he passed, and I looked to my right, and he's sitting there with me, just as Eric or any of my other visitors or guests would happen to be doing. And I was a little bit shocked. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I am sorry you left." And he gave me this big, gorgeous grin, and he said, "Don't be sad. I'm very happy to be where I'm at, and you can see me." And I said, "Yes, I can. Did you want to talk? Would you like to tell your fans or anybody anything?" And he said he would love to. And so that's why we're here tonight. I just like to say that if a spirit didn't want to talk, they sure wouldn't. You can't annoy them and bug them or anything like that. If they don't want to be here, they don't show up. But George was very happy and kind and willing to come. His energy is very light. When I had asked him about it, he was explaining that while he was here on Earth the last year or so of his life, his energy was extremely heavy, and it was related to health issues. And he apparently, or not apparently, he had some autoimmune issues related to um, AIDS, autoimmune deficiency, and um, and eventually this is what he said wore him out and took him down. But um, he's not sad about leaving. His purpose was served. That he came here to be. He was himself, and he would love to just take questions, a couple questions, and let his fans know that it's a beautiful place where he's at now. He's free. He's free of everything. He's light, um, and he appreciates the fact that he's going to be missed.
Yeah, he definitely is going to be, and he definitely had a very interesting career, and I'm just honored to be speaking with him, and so usually in passing, there's a couple of like I don't know what the time frame is, right? It's different for everybody. So is he here because is he able to be here because he didn't really have to go through a real deep life review, or sometimes it takes a while for spirits to get to this, to this
To where they
to
can
where they
communicate.
communicate. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, he says that what wasn't published is that he's been dealing with illness for uh, like the last 2.5 years, where he was declining, and he had a lot of time to think about it. And his life and what he would have considered, mistakes, and that he settled a lot before he actually crossed over. So
So
crossing over
crossing over
is
is
actually a
actually
release.
release. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, that makes sense. And does he have something else before
He's so
I
stinking
sneak
handsome.
in him?
Oh my
Oh my
goodness. I'm
goodness.
just like, okay. That's all. But
but
so he's just talking about how his life, and his work were all related, and that his life work, uh, living out loud, which was very hard for him. Eventually he did, and he accepted that he was homosexual and not bisexual. And the reason that he had such a hard time with it because his parents, his mother, his father wouldn't accept him. And once he came to terms with that, he realized his life work, his singing, his being famous, all furthered the cause for the LG, and the lesbian gay population,
So
LGBT.
LGBT. And so what happened when he did come out? Did his family end up accepting him or no?
His father had passed by that time, and
Oh.
his mother was very old. And he says the funny part about that was he thought that he was fooling her, but she the whole time had idea that he was, gay. And he said what I didn't realize is that it wouldn't have made any difference to her.
Mm. Yeah, that's very good to hear. I mean, that you could have been accepted before, way before.
Yeah, he said he let that live in his mind because he was fearful of rejection, of her rejection.
Hmm.
But he didn't have to be.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. So what do you think was your life lesson here?
He says um, self acceptance for sure. Um, at first, he thought he was bisexual, and he was very much attracted to women sexually. Uh, but on a relationship basis, he more identified with the men. And he learned how to identify and accept himself for being gay. So when he totally accepted that, he says, I learned my life lesson. He says, and there are some incidences uh, that helped clarify things for me. It wasn't things you would normally be proud of. Um, but they were learning, and they were learning for me. I needed to find my way. I needed to figure out who I was in relationship to the feelings I was having, and I learned how to explore those feelings, um, and now I accept it. My life lesson was to accept who I was. I finally came to that, and guess what? When I finally did come to that, I knew my time was done. He's very happy to have a transition.
Wow, have you ever encountered people that haven't been?
Mm, I think at the beginning they were a little opposed to it, like because they weren't quite adjusted, but they all absolutely were. They had to adjust.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Great to hear. What would you say to people that are going through what you were going through and being scared of, coming out and accepting themselves? Do you have anything you would want to, any advice you want to give them?
The sooner that you can be authentic to yourself, the sooner you'll find joy in your life. And it doesn't make a damn bit of difference what anybody else thinks. Your life is your own, and when you own it, you'll be so free. It allows you to live and be who you are authentically. Figure out who you are and just own it. No apologies, is what he said.
Yeah, and you know, in thinking of the younger generation now that are coming through, and I know you waited till you were an adult to do that. It kind of brought me back to thinking, what was your childhood like? Were you did you sing back then, or how did you begin singing?
He's talking about actually a wonderful childhood with parents who loved him. He said there were ups and downs like everybody else, you learn. Um, and he did start to sing, and it was in his teens, he says, in school, and he quickly learned that uh, he could persuade the girls and get quite a lot of attention. So he did. He did that. He wants to say around 14 or so, he got into it. Then he met it's the other guy from Wham, um, Ridgely. Mm. And he says, and that's when it all started to take off. And he says that's how I, eventually found myself, and it was a good life, and I'm proud of it.
Well, I can tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed all of your music. I had um, a couple of your CDs, and I played them over and over and over. Where did the lyrics come from? Those wonderful, songs like Faith and all the other amazing songs that you had in there.
He was singing for me, and he said, where else could these words come from but the soul? He says, I was soul searching, and I wrote it down, and it all made sense.
Wow, so the lyrics, so you wrote the lyrics.
I think he had a collaborator with him, because I see another person there, writing it. But yeah, there was some alcohol involved when they were writing, and there were some other recreational drugs involved, and it was a really good time. But he says those words come from the soul.
Wow. No wonder it was such good music. It was incredible music, and I am very thankful to have been part of that.
He says
Um,
he said thank you for listening.
yeah, definitely. I'll have to pull my CD back out again to listen to it again.
Yep, he says it's timeless music.
It is timeless.
Hmm.
It was wonderful and fantastic, and I love it. Um, so now for our Eric question. Does Eric Meadows have any questions for him? Which I'm sure he does.
Eric's like, man, what was it like to have all those women? You could have fucked anybody you want. Of course, this is the question Eric Meadows gives him. Thanks, um, he's just laughing. George is laughing, and he said, Eric, with all those women at my disposal, you would have thought that it would have been the most fantastic thing in the world, but it's not what I truly wanted, so it really didn't mean very much. Eric's like, that wasn't the answer I wanted. I wanted to hear it was fucking amazing. Oh,
Of
shit.
course, Eric.
Yeah, of course. But they're laughing, and yeah, I think it's time. I think George is kind of done. They're
Yeah,
talking
well, that
back
was
and
our last
forth, and
question.
well, good, because he's kind of pulling back, and I'm not feeling his energy as strongly. So that was very sweet, and he's very nice, and well, it was pretty much a really huge honor to talk to
Yes.
him.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it was an honor speaking with you.
He kisses goodbye.
Mwah.
Mwah. Hold on a sec. Thanks for listening to Coffee Talk.